Hi, this is Maria Quattrone, and this is Be the Solution podcast with Rise in Real Estate. And today I welcome my guest, Lee Tessier. Lee is from Baltimore, Maryland. He has been in that area for the last 40 some years, and he runs a thriving real estate team powered by EXP. So, welcome, Lee.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you. Hope
Great
you
to
had a great
see you.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, it's a great day today.
Yes, it is.
We're
Sunshine.
alive, breathing, and in the land of the free and the brave.
Exactly. 100%. So great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. We want to get right into it today because I think that our audience needs to hear a message of, what's going on in the real estate industry, and as a real estate agent, what they need to do today in today's market to thrive. So, what are
Sure.
some of the things, Lee, that that you're doing and your team is doing today?
So we started talking in February with our team going, hey, look, this market is changing. I don't know if you're seeing it yet, and then by May it really changed, especially when interest rates spike like crazy. So we talked for probably 3 months, and you know how people need to hear things 7 times before they finally get it. And it was like they talking over and over and over, like, hey, you guys are gonna have to do more work. It's a little bit easy right now, but keep staying at your consistent phone calls because we have to be outbound prospecting, meaning hey, we're following up with our database, we're following up with friends. So on my team, we create a top 50. So who's their 50 clients that they talk to every month? So it's three of those calls every day, and then two other sphere calls, and then at least 15 lead follow-ups. And that's a minimum. You should be making a minimum of 20 calls. So we've been harping on that since February because the previous 2 years you didn't have to make those calls. I was like, all right, just your phone was inbound ringing or inbox stuff. Hey, want to see this house? I want to write an offer. There was more like a ticket taker type thing. Like, hey, well, let's just write an offer for them.
We call it shooting fish in a barrel.
Yes, for sure. It was anybody that could get their real estate license. But the bad thing is they didn't have direction. So most of them. So when we were on the other side of a deal, then we were seeing all the issues. But we could just see that the market was changing. And then comes May, later around Labor Day or Memorial Day, and then all of a sudden interest rates spiked to like 6 and some change, and everybody's like, "Holy crap, what happened to interest rates?" And then affordability's out the window, and then all of a sudden like the brakes were put on. People weren't looking at houses right away, and then our agents were finally like, "Oh yeah, this is what you're talking about." So we kept talking about like, hey, you have to do these follow-up calls more than anything. And like prospecting gets to like a dirty word, but it's really not. It's just follow-up. And I had a couple of my agents saying, well, I like to have lunch with my clients. And I like to have coffee or whatever. I was like, how do you get there, right? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you have to have a phone call. You pick up the phone, you make a phone call, then you set the appointment. Once in a while it's by text, but it's a communication, generally a phone call first. Phone call, then all of a sudden, hey, you're picking a place to meet, then you meet. That's part of what prospecting. It's just that follow-up more than ever. And now we have to do 2 to 3 times as much to get the outcome of what we had before. And with this market slowing down, and we've heard markets that are slowing down 50 and 60% here in our market. So we're in about 30 minutes from Baltimore, a little bit more rural. We're in Bel Air, Harford County. So sales have been down about 30%, but our sales have stayed steady what we did last year and actually slightly inclined. But it's all about the activities. If you're not doing activities that are going to be dollar productive, you are not going to get an outcome. Open houses, super valuable. Make sure you're doing open houses. How are you doing them? Are you knocking 10 doors each side of the street? Like go to the left 10, go to the right 10, go across and do those 20 as well. And make sure that they know, hey, there's going to be some increased traffic today. Just want to let you know in case you have animals or any kids. We don't want anybody getting hit by a car. And if you'd like to see it, I'm going to have the house open for 30 minutes ahead of time. Open houses from 12 to 2 or 1 to 3, whatever the time is. But they're doing that. These activities are getting out in front of them. Some of them are circle prospecting earlier that week. Hey, we're doing an open house. Again, wanted to let you know just in case increased traffic. We don't want anybody to get hit by a car or a dog or so forth. And that way you're not like a solicitation as so much where people are like, oh, why are you calling me? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm trying to call as a courtesy. And then, hey, we also want you to be able to pick your neighbors. So we picked up one of our agents is doing really, really well with open houses. Pretty much 6 or 7 deals. His last 7 deals have been open houses. And amazing what comes out of that. It's just taking a little bit extra steps that are dollar productive. So those are some of the things that we're doing to make things a little bit better for our agents.
Okay, so we have 15 conversations a day. 3 of your top 50 list 10.
Well, it's 3 top 50, 2
Mhm.
other sphere calls. So it's 5 that are people that they already know. Like those are all Mets. And then they have 15 lead follow-ups that are not Mets. So that have not met. So now it's a matter of just going through. We put everything in a pond and follow-up boss. So that way
Mhm.
you can start dialing through there. Um,
Absolutely. So how long does that take
an hour.
to
It
make the
depends if
20?
you have, but then like so one of the guys I coach in Florida, he had one, with one of his top 50s. He didn't get him when he called him, but then he called me back. And he's like, man, I was on the phone for 42 minutes with this client. I was like, okay, what was the outcome? He's like, well, he does want to sell his house and he does want to buy a house and he wants to buy investment property. I was like, okay, so you have a possibility of 3 deals for that 42 minutes. Was that 42 minutes well spent? It's like, yeah, okay. So just think of those things that, it just comes from having conversation and also knowing what to say, how to say, when to say it. We both coached through Shep Lack's group. So we just came back from Bill Pipe's, his sales mastery course, which I got to say was probably one of the best courses we took. Took 12 of our agents, scripting and just adding the extra verbiage in. So like when you ask for a referral and then they say, oh, well, I can't really think of anybody right now. Okay, well, how about any family members, friends, any coworkers, anybody you can think of? And then you go back with that. And then it starts jogging their memory. But it's all these little tweaks that you're doing of getting better every day. That little 1%, 1%, 1%, and all of a sudden amazing how it compounds.
Yes. So that's one of the first books when somebody enters our organization that I have them read, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, to understand real estate and how it applies to the real estate industry. Yeah, there you go. I
Right.
have a
Yeah.
pile of that.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't like, if you haven't read it, read it. Such a good book.
It's such a great book, and it really shows you. And I say, if you just take a line, a piece of paper, and you draw them line, 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 all next to each other, in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, look how far you've come. So we keep doing it, the same thing over and over and over again. I said, when you get so good at it, it actually becomes a little bit boring because
Right.
we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But that's the only way, anyway, that
Long as
I
it's
know
working. Long as it's working, though. Has to be those consistent measures that are working. Because when they're not, then you got to go back, like go into follow up, also listen to a call. How good was the call? Was the call could have been better? How can you tweak it? How do you make it better? What small words do you change to make that even that now all of a sudden your conversion increases? So I would say just the challenge of that is like it's doing those consistent behaviors, but making sure if you're not getting results from them, what are you doing to change them? Because it's like I play golf, and if you have a bad golf swing and you consistently hit the same thing and it's bad, now you just implemented and made that a bad swing. So how do you get better? So
100%.
it's getting some coaching on it. How are you swinging? Make sure you're looking at the measures, look at it on video, and then see where those things are, and then you make those tweaks. So the same thing for us is listen to the audio message. Are you role playing it? How does it sound in role play? Because
So that's what I said. Either you role play with each other or you role play with your client.
yeah, I
You
mean,
get to
people
choose.
agents practice on people, salespeople, on the live customer every day. And it's like, God, you guys need to practice on each other first, especially with teams. If you don't have a team and you're an individual agent, find another agent in the office or find somebody, go find somebody on Facebook. You don't have to be face to face. You can use Zoom, Google Meet, whatever it is. You can use FaceTime, just and you can just use a telephone call because if people aren't seeing you either way, when you're making these calls, just have a call. Amazing what happens when you start practicing.
And
Professional athletes practice for hours every week to play minutes in a game, but salespeople want to go practice on the client right away.
that's correct. 100%. So we know that if we're practicing with each other every day, you're going to get better. Um, you've been in the business, Lee, a long time.
Yeah,
And
17 years in January, man.
how many?
17 years.
17 years. Okay. So I'm going to be 19. And I learned from the very beginning, probably I would say about 2 years in the industry about scripts and dialogues through Mike Ferry. And that's all I did is learn the scripts, learn the dialogues. And they're the same questions that you still ask today. And knowing the right tonality, mirroring and matching people on the phone.
Yeah.
understanding their personality type, who
Just
they are. Do they need to see things in writing? Do they just want to be, they don't want to know the details, or do they want to know every detail of the transaction
right.
and
The
what you're going to
engineer,
do to get it sold? So
right.
you have to know who your audience is, and you have to be relatable to them, and not relatable in the sense of like, oh, I like hockey, so do you. No, relatable in the sense of asking them the right questions as a real estate professional, so that you can help them get what they want, ultimately either buying or selling, a property, and getting to it in a clear and concise manner, by asking detailed questions and repeating and affirming back to them,
Hmm.
right? So that they understood that you understand what they're saying.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing what comes out of it. But knowing what to say, it all starts there. And then having questionnaires that you can go through. And like when you start asking these questions, you're really digging deep. And that's today's environment, because there's less buyers. You really have to find the ones that are motivated. Why are they motivated to move? Because it's like, all right, interest rates are more than double where they were in January. So what makes them want to move? What makes them have to move? What makes them have to sell? Why do they have, but it's like once you start digging and have conversations, but you can't ask superficial questions. You've got to go so much deeper. Some people just want to go why, like I think of John always saying going why. No, you have to go deep. Make sure you're going deep with these people, but you have to ask good questions that's going to get you there. And that's why it's helpful to have scripts. You don't have to read right from them. You just have to know what to say, and then go through these questionnaires too. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, you should know them inside out and backwards, so that you could actually, if somebody called you at 3 a.m., you could like say it, ask the
Right.
questions.
Right.
I would say, they said, you don't ever sound like a script. I said, because I know this stuff so well. When you know it so well, it just comes off.
It doesn't sound canned like you're reading from a script, right?
No, but I can't help people if I don't know your motivation. How soon do you have to be there? What do you think stopped it from selling? How many showings did you have when you were on the market? Right? All these questions. Did you use a lockbox? How was the property shown? What kind of feedback did you get? Um, is there anything unusual about the home? And all these other questions that you need on the seller side of like, tell me about the last. They always say, oh, we just renovated it. I go, what year was that? Oh, 2002.
Right, right, exactly.
That's 20 years ago. Definitely not just renovated,
Right,
right? But people think their kitchen that's 20 years old is fine,
right.
right?
Yeah,
So it's these people also, recognizing that the consumer doesn't do this every day. They have no idea what exactly it is that we do, and we take for what we do because we know it so well. I'm going to say for granted,
hmm,
but in a way, because we know so much, consumers, like, we're over all the way over here and they're all the way over there,
right,
and we have to kind of bridge the gap to help them understand where things are, where they're going, why this question I'm asking you is important, right? Because sometimes we get from the sellers or buyers, why do you need to know that information,
right.
right?
What-
And being able to go further and deeper with them. And right now, I think it's critical that the phone is being used as much as humanly possible.
Well, for what it should be used for. So, I mean, one of the worst things that the new phones do is make a phone call. You get lost reception, all the other stuff. It does everything else perfect, but then trying to make a phone call is like you have shitty service. But but people are not making enough phone calls outbound, and it's not, hey, oh yeah, I had this call. It's like, was it inbound or outbound? Because that makes a difference. Because if it's an inbound and you call them, they're calling you back. It's a different story. But so many cases, people are not making enough outbound calls, and right now you're having to do 2 to 3 times as many outbound calls to get the same results as you were before. So, and then we have expectations. People get set, like the salesperson gets set in their head. This is what I think the client wants. They want top dollar. Well, top dollar is not always what they really need. They need what's like convenience. Hey, I don't feel like dealing with home inspections. I don't feel like dealing with all these showings. I just need X. Can you get me this offer? And maybe it's an investor offer then. Hey, maybe it's an instant offer. Maybe it's a guaranteed sale. So that's why we've offered a lot of these programs. I just had one I bought last week. The people, they went to list with us. They were referred from another team. to us. They were buying in another state. And then they say, oh, we got to settle. They didn't tell us until we are getting ready to go on the market. They're like, oh, yeah, we were under contract. We need to settle in 3 weeks. Well, shit. Like, do you want an instant offer then to see what it is? Because Lee can settle in 2. So I gave them an instant offer. We sat on the market for a week. They didn't get an offer of what they wanted. So they took my instant offer, and it was convenient for them. It was convenient for me. Now I put it on. I have time to sell it. I can do some renovations that need to be done, put it on the market, and get back under contract. But people have the interpretation as, oh, well, it's always the dollars and cents. It's not always the dollars and cents. It's what is it that's convenient? What's going to be the most convenient for them? If somebody's sick, somebody that's older, it's an estate sale. A lot of cases, that's not it. Or if they're moving out of the country or out of the state or whatever it is, they've already purchased another house. They just want to get rid of it. Now it's a like a nuisance for them. And dollars and cents are not always the most. They want to get as much as they can, but at the least headaches and convenience. So where we get, somebody I'm going to set in the head is like, oh, they need this. I'm like, why do they need that? Find out. You have to find out. You have to ask the questions. What's most important to them, not what's important to us. And some people, they got the other extreme. Like, I have a $2 million property on the market, and he's like, all right, if I get it, great, I'll sell it. If I don't, I'm not selling it. I'm like, okay. So we got an offer for 1.6 and change. Like, I'm not taking it. 1999. Okay. So you have to know what your clients are. If not, he'll sell it in a couple of years when it's more convenient for him. And then he may take 1.6. Who knows? But it depends on what they're going through, right? It's not like the salesperson always thinks it's about us. I'm like, you have nothing to do with it except you're helping them. If you find out all the questions that you should be asking, find out those answers, you're helping connect that client to what they want. And if you help them get it, then you'll get what you want. You help enough other people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. But they go chasing the commission or chasing those dollars and cents, and then they get nothing because they're not really in tune to what the client really wants. And I would say, if you guys take nothing else out of this, think of what's in it for the client, not what's in it for you. And if you dig deep enough to find out really what's most important to them, and you help them get that, that's when you will get the gold. And then you'll get referrals and referrals and referrals from doing that.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy time for a little bit, but then I think that the people that will be willing to do the work will win and will gain market share and will be better because of it, and have a successful, thriving real estate business.
Yeah.
I think that over the last 5 years, people got kind of lazy and buyers were everywhere. You could find a deal pretty quickly, easily. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see who the true winners are in this business.
Skills-based market.
Hmm?
Skills-based market. So as an agent, you need to be more skills-based than ever. Like knowing what to say, knowing how to get there, know the stats in the market, like what's going on in your market. Like, are days on market up a lot, down? Like how much of an increase have you had? How much inventory is there? Like we went from like 0.7 months inventory to we're about 2.7, almost 3 months of inventory. So we're not at a balanced market of 6 months, 5.5, 6 months, but we're still only 3. And we still had 7% appreciation last month, even though sales were down 30%. It's just less buyers, but there's still so many buyers compared to the amount of sellers, because inventory on our 5-year average, we're less than 50% of what our 5-year average is still. So when people are seeing that, they're like, oh, well, I don't see prices pushed down a lot then. They're just not offering $50,000 and $75,000 and $100,000 over list price to get a home. So, but I think like you have to know your market, and then you have to stay in contact with people. Like we just did our Thanksgiving pie event that we do it at we did it at our country club this year. And it made my night. I seen one of our past clients. He's bought and sold 3 homes with us. He just lost his wife. He's in his late 70s. And he's like, I thank you so much for doing this every year. He said, I look forward to coming to this event because we do late food and open bar. And then some people come stay from 4 to 9. Some people come for 15 minutes, and you get the ones that stay a couple hours. But he said, this gives me something that I look forward to coming to every year. And he said, I bought and sold a lot of homes. He said, I wish I would have found you 30 years ago because I would have sold all my homes with you, but I've never had a real estate agent follow up with me as much as you do and check in on me. And he said, and you're doing it not to sell me something. Because he's like, I'm going to sell this house. I'm going to wait a year till after I pass. I said, Rich, whenever you're ready, we're ready. But I don't want you to rush or, hey, you put a time frame on it. You have to feel what's best for you. But hearing that of us following up, because the client, I talked to another agent and he said, I feel guilty because I don't follow up my database and I haven't called them in like years. I was like, you call and apologize. Like, man, I know it's been a long time since I talked to you, but how are you? They're not going to be like, you asshole, don't call me again. And if they do, take them off your list. Very rarely do you get that. But it's fortune's always in the follow up, and it's relationship now more than ever. Because look at COVID, what it's done to so many people, and they've been hunkered in their house. They don't know how to communicate with people. They don't have the same amount of people they were communicating with. So when you're calling and checking on them, it's amazing how far that goes. But just have the conversations. If you don't pick up the phone and have those conversations, you don't know what like maybe you save somebody from suicide. You don't know what people are going through right now. There's so much toxicity out there. When you watch the news, I can't watch the news anymore. It's just too depressing. But when these people are going through these things, and it only takes a couple of minutes to have a conversation and check in with somebody. And if you haven't checked in with them for 2, 3, 10 years, just pick up the phone and see what happens. I mean, they can't stab you, they can't shoot you, they can't kill you through the phone. So there's like that. Those are the worst things that could possibly happen. The worst they tell you is F off and hang up on you.
Exactly.
End of the world.
And then the best part of it is hopefully, you help somebody and made somebody smile
Right.
today.
Yeah. And it's just having conversation. It's just amazing where it leads.
It's amazing. That's a great. So you do the pie event at your country club. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had about 650 people or so that night.
Wow.
But it's like when people come, I had somebody else that he has a $7.5 million property to sell, and his assistant she had come with one of our agents, and she's like, I didn't know it was going to be an event like this. I would have made sure to bring them. And I was like, well, that was nice to hear too, because we just want somebody to come and have an experience. And I'll never forget Gary Keller saying that when you build a club around your database, you will win. So like we created MVP, which is most valuable partners for all our clients. So when they refer us a client, we have a Google form that we fill out. That way that our concierge, she knows, get them. We have a Blue Yeti tumbler and it has our logo and it has MVP in it. We make sure that we get that out to the client as soon as we get the referral, and the clients, it's a met. It's not just a referral. They give us a name. We just have to meet with them. It doesn't have to transpire in a transaction. It just has to be a met. So, and then our second one is we do a Cutco sandwich spreader. Our third one is a cross green, really nice cutting board that's customized with all their name on it and branded with our info. And then after we have 3, then we're considered an all-star. They're considered an all-star with us for referrals. And then we have a chef's dinner at the end of the year, which actually would be in July is when we started the program. So in July, we'll have this nice chef's dinner for everybody that referred us 3 transactions or more, 3 clients. So when you start building this club, and we made sure, like, all right, if you're not an MVP, you only get tickets. So you get 2 drink tickets, but everybody MVP, they get open bar. So at first my team was like, wow, you're going to piss people off. I'm like, okay, I hope I do, because this is something, we give something away every month. We just want them to watch our video that we send, check the email. We just did 3 family it was a family portrait shoot at a park. So that was one thing. The month before, we gave away Ravens tickets. It was my tickets are $500 for 2 seats, so we gave them away. We'll do different giveaways every month, and it's like, all right, that's just ways to keep our database engaged. And then when we did this of like open bar versus not, all of a sudden we went from like 150 to over 500 MVPs because they wanted to make sure they got open bar. So they didn't want to buy a ticket. So I think we had all but like 13 people that did sign up for it. And the other ones is just like, guys, just watch. We don't want anything we don't really want anything from you. If you trust us, you know us already, you like us. If you have somebody that's looking or has real estate questions, just point them our way. That's all we're asking for. And if you pass that information on that we can follow up with them, we reward you. It's just like, I have a Southwest card. When I use my Southwest card, I get rewarded, right? You get upgraded seating, you get free flights, you get companion that's free. So we're just trying to create something like that for our clients.
I love it.
Thanks.
That's a really great idea. And so they get videos, the database gets videos how often?
Every week. So it's once a week. And then we also have Facebook group stuff that'll go out. And like our social media could be TikTok and stuff of that sort. But email wise, it goes out once a week. And then we do.
And how many people does it go to?
4,000. That one goes out to, it's at least 4,400 clients. I think we're up to like 8,000 that we have. We've sent it to the whole like 30,000 people, and then we had unsubscribed. So I think we're down to maybe a total of about 8,000 that feeds out to weekly.
And there's videos, they come every week and they're all about either the contest or
Market up. So part of
market
it will be like
update.
market update. Hey, this is what's happening. Here's some featured listings. Hey, interest rates change. This is what it means for you. So we try to give something that's educational rather than like education sells more than anything else. If you're trying to sell that you're number one, they don't give a shit. Like we've been number one in our county since 2011. That doesn't, I mean, it drives us some business, but that's really not what drives it. It's always about knowing the data and being able to help the client the most effectively and be the resource. Have the resources that they can come in, be one-stop shop. Hey, we can help you from, when you're coming in and you need a lender, you need title, you need mortgage, like anything you need all the way through the process. You need a babysitter. Okay, let's see if we can find you one. You need, I've had ones that need somebody to do their hair. Like, all right, start connecting. The more we connect people, amazing what happens.
Be the solution. Be the solution.
Yeah. So like we have a vendor tab on our website, but we also created it as a magnet that we give away with a QR code. So anytime that they need a lender or a vendor of any type, electrician, plumber, to whatever, we have them on their accountant, to any business that we've dealt with that's been a great transaction is going to take care of our customer, jewelry stores to whatever it may be. We all have them linked on there.
That's excellent.
Thanks.
Very good. Very, very good pieces of advice that people can easily do. And that doesn't cost any money to create that list.
Have
it on the site.
Bought a house in 2020 in Florida. I bought it as a foreclosure. Didn't really know many people there, and I had to go down. I wanted to do updates to it. So I wanted to do flooring and I wanted to do countertops and some different stuff. And man, I'll tell you, it was like you get spoiled because you have all the stuff that I can go on my phone and pick out like, hey, I need you to give me an estimate for this. You need this, and I could do that. And I had to go through all kind of different resources because I didn't have contacts there. So then I started building out my contacts there. But it takes time, and you got to vet them. You got to make sure that they do a good job. You got to make sure that they show up when they're supposed to. You got to make sure they're going to price what they told you. So all that stuff that's a pain in the butt versus ones that we've been dealing with for 5 and 10 years that I know are solid. Every time I call them, hey, I need this done. It gets done, and it's a reasonable price. I'm not saying that they're going to be the cheapest by far, and they're not the most expensive, but they're all licensed and stand behind their work. And that's what we look for.
Excellent. So within your database and your Mets versus your haven't Mets, and if an agent is starting from day one and they have no business, what's the best advice that you would give them?
Create their top 50. So that's one of the first things that we ask before they even come in the door. So who is their 50 people that respect them, that they like having conversations with, and that would probably refer them business. So that's where you start. And then if you want to start a mailing list, then you go through who, if you were getting married, who would you mail to, or who would your Christmas card list be?
Right.
But start with, if you do that 50 that you're going to have conversations with every month, amazing what that turns into. Because especially if you're like on a team, it makes it so much easier. You have support, even though you're brand new, you have support for that team of, hey, they know you and they like you and they trust you, but then they're like, they don't know anything about real estate. But hey, they're on Lee's team and they've been number one for 11 years. I think that he has resources to go to. Now I'll refer that person business, or hey, maybe I'll try them out and see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Because we all start somewhere, right? But it also, when you have support behind you, amazing what happens. You have sales manager, you have our transaction manager, listing manager, director of ops. So you have all these people behind, let alone all our seasoned salespeople that run, like our pod leaders and so forth, that are selling 85 to 100 homes a year, that are super knowledgeable. They have that as a resource as a new agent on a team.
Yeah, I think that team models are the way to go. I think it's hard for an agent to be on their own in this environment, not just now, even before, because I don't know about you, Lee, but I'm only good at like one or two things.
Right.
And there's about 7 jobs in a real estate transaction.
Yeah, at least.
So we focus on, have the agents to make the calls, do the sales, let the back office handle, the rest of it, putting everything in the MLS, doing the marketing, getting the open houses set up, ordering the signs, boxes, pictures, and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully, that allows the real estate agent really be the salesperson,
Right.
and
Yeah.
help.
Like we've had, when you add a courier in, a courier saves so much time for all the little incidental crap that has to be done, right? Nobody wants to go run all the flyers and the signs and the lockbox and all that stuff. And then the courier that does a good job, he has his role every day, like that takes it off the agent's list. They don't have to go do photos. They don't like our concierge even follows up through our database, sends birthday cards, anniversary cards, calls, lets our agent know, like, hey, your top client so and so, their birthday's tomorrow, make sure you call them ahead of time, or usually tries to do it like 4 days ahead of time. That way, if they want to send them anything, they can do it ahead of time, or if they're snail mailing it. If not, they put it on their calendar to add, and have a phone call with them, because don't just text message them. Either send them a video, hey, great to see you, or, happy birthday, just thinking of you. I just wanted to send you a video rather than just a quick text message. And you either Facebook message it to them or text message it to them. Amazing what happens. I mean, because how many of them do you get? Zero, maybe one.
So I got a bunch of videos on my birthday, but only three. Some of them were already recorded.
Yeah.
They get to everybody. Three people did a video message to me,
Well, you're popular then, because that's way more than most people get.
and it was. I remember who they were. I
Yeah.
remember those three people.
It's the impact that it makes behind it, right?
It is.
Then,
It
like,
is.
hey, I got my 400, 500 messages on Facebook, a happy birthday, and then they all blend in. You don't see any of them.
Correct.
And versus the phone call you have, because think how many phone calls you get. Not very many. How many birthday
No, not
calls?
like before. I used to spend the whole day on the phone with all these people calling. Now I just get text messages,
Right.
even from your own family.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Right.
text message.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
seriously?
Yeah.
I call people on their birthday.
But call and a video make such a big difference. I mean, if you can't call them for some reason, record a fresh video. Like, yeah, don't send that same video that you send out to everybody. Send one like, hey, Maria, just want to wish you happy birthday. Just thinking of you. Have an awesome day. 10 seconds, right? I mean, it's going to go through. It's going to get to you right away. It doesn't matter what you use as if you use a Droid or Apple, and it makes the impression. And that's the biggest thing. You just want to be remembered more than anything else. You want to be the one that stands out versus, say it, especially now, this is a whole nother tangent. Internet leads, 150 million internet leads right now. Go back to 2010, 2011, it was roughly 5 million internet leads. So now 150 million for the same 5 million roughly homes that are sold a year. So they're signed into 30 platforms, 30. So, if each one of them, the husband and wife, are signed into 15 each, that means they're talking to 15 different agents each. So you got a competition. If you're not standing out to them, how are you going to win? You have to be different. Be okay with being different. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Those are all things that you need to remember.
Nothing grows in the comfort zone.
No.
And I always said to everybody, do one more. Do one more. Go to the gym. Do one more set. Pick up the phone. Make one more call. If you just do that every day, just a little bit more, right?
All comes back to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ed Minette wrote a book recently, The Power of One More. I follow him. He's one of the people I watch his podcast every week.
Who is it?
Or listen to his podcast, excuse me.
Who is it?
Ed Milet.
Oh yeah, Ed Milet. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got some cool people on his podcast. They're really good.
Yeah.
It's like one of the top podcasts in like the nation now.
I seen him at 10X Grant Cardone's event in Vegas like 6 years ago. So see periodically different ones with him. And that's the old thing, because there's so much data out there right now, right? There's so much consumption. If you went on podcasts, look how many freaking hundreds of thousands of podcasts there are too. So it's like, what you have to be different more than anything else. And then it's consistency and persistency. And then the last thing is accountability. We all have to be accountable for our, like, what number do we have? I think of, I don't remember what book it was I read, but he was talking about, it was in the steel mills, and they were trying to figure out how to get steel mill production up. And he said, everybody's got to have a number. So they hired this other guru, and like nobody was getting production up. They were right around like five whatever they were, 5 round bounds of steel. So per shift. So he's like, all right. He took a spray can of spray paint and went out in the middle of the floor and spray painted a 5. And everybody's like, well, what's that mean? He's like, all right, that the the first shift got 5 of them done. Let's see what the second shift does. Now all of a sudden the second shift got 7 of them done, so he spray paints a 7. Now the third shift comes in and like, what is this? Well, the second shift got 7, the first one got 5. Well, they got 8. So all of a sudden, like they were trying, because there's, like we're all competitive spirited people, just the human being is, but we all need a number. So that really stood out to me as like, we all need a number that we need to go after. So what are you accountable to? And when you were saying about one more thing, so it's like, all right, is it 15 conversations? Is it 20 conversation? What is it? I was talking to Brian Danny on DM Beer's team. And I said to him, I was like, all right, now that the market shifted, because you've really seen it out in California, the shift, what are you having to do on a daily basis different? And he said, well, I used to focus on 20 conversations a day. Now I have to go to 30 conversations a day, every day, 30 real estate conversations specifically. So he said from 8 to noon every day, he spends just prospecting for 4 hours. It's calls, text, email, and video.
And he was doing, I don't know what he's doing now, but he was doing 100 deals a year.
Yeah, he's doing 100 million in sales, but not a bad gig, right? You know, you make a couple $1 million from that, but being consistent. Is it worth 4 hours of your day to prospect every day? Imagine if you started with 1, because most people don't spend 15 minutes prospecting consistently. You spent 1 hour on the phone every day. And it's just these compounded actions that turn into huge, like, because people have said to me, like, well, how'd you get successful? I'm like, I did the same stuff every day. Like, I know what my Monday to Friday is. My weekends are always screwed up, but my Monday to Friday, I know my ass is like, I'm up at 4:45. I go to the gym I'm at the gym at 5:45. I'm home by 7:30. I'm in the shower. I'm at the office by 8:30. I leave 5:30 to 6:30, depending on me, sometimes 7 o'clock. And then I'm home and I start it all over again.
Sounds like a similar schedule. I get up a little bit later than you do, but first in, last out.
Right. And you got to do the activities. You got to move your body, get your workouts in, and like now, especially as we get older, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else does it for you. Nobody else does it for you. And do you want to be?
Nobody else does it for you. That's for sure.
You figure, like, I was watching Tulsa King. That was the new Sylvester Stallone show that he's in. And he's talking, he's 75 years old now. Like, and I was like, holy shit, he looks freaking amazing for 75 years old. I was like, I'd love to look anywhere near that at 75. So, but what are we doing to take care of ourselves as we get older? We want to live longer. I don't want to be the old frail person at 75 that can't take care of themselves. But it comes back to, what are we doing to take care of ourselves? Because nobody else can do it for you. And I think a lot of people, like that escapes them. I think back to like my 2013 was my busiest year. We sold 289 homes and I sold 138 of the 289. And I was working like 90-hour weeks. I was missing everything in my family. I was eating terrible. I was going to like McDonald's and having McChickens and McDoubles like in the car. I got fatter than I ever had. And then I went to the doctor and he's like, oh, you're borderline high blood pressure, borderline high cholesterol. He's like, I can prescribe you pills. I'm like, no, I will fix this. I will take care. He's like, you need to change your lifestyle. I was like, all right. So I dwindled. I'm like, all right, I'm going down to 70 sales and then I'm going to work on growing my team more. And I started doing that and I'm helping the others get what they want. And then I'm getting what I want. But then I could also take more time for myself, like started working out, started getting, got a personal trainer, had the same trainer for 7.5 years now. Be consistent, right? Do these things that are working for you. Eat better, pay attention to what you're putting in your mouth. If you ever want to save money or lose weight, write down everything that you spend money on, or write down everything you put in your mouth, and you'll be amazed what happens. You'll end up putting a lot less in there and you'll spend a lot less money.
I stopped eating sugar this year, March 1st. And John had that 31-day sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And I put some other stuff on there that I was going to do, but I didn't 100% meet the commitment, only the not sugar thing. And I'm still not eating sugar.
Good.
And feel better, lost like, I don't know. I haven't weighed myself. All I know is I'm wearing size club. I have some jeans that I've not worn in 7 years. And now they're getting baggy, which is like super duper exciting. I also started, in the summer, walking more, biking. Now that the summer's over, I added weightlifting in. So I go to the gym and lift weights. And it's the same thing, the value of the compound effect. personally
Hmm.
over time. So
Well,
that like 30 pounds or so I lost, it took me that many months. So
hmm
it's like really slow. But, my hope is that this is the last time
well,
for
so
the yo yo.
well, we remember, like, we have short-term memory, right? It took us a while to gain all the weight, right? It didn't come on overnight. We feel like it did, and we expect it to come off overnight, and it doesn't happen that way. So it's like weeks and months to come off. But when you're going through that process, you feel so much better. I have a good friend he was a bodybuilder and he's a nutritionist. So I came back from Bill Pipe's event and said, all right, I'm going to meet with him and set my nutrition plan, because I'll show you a picture of what he looked like when he came to Florida with us in February and where he is now. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But so I met with him and then just started eating same thing, no sugars. It was very like more bland food. I can season it with what I want, but it's just chicken. I eat sliced potatoes, baked potatoes, and just vegetables. So he went from, let's see, I'll make it, from there in February
Wow.
to there in October.
Wow.
I was like, all right, I'll follow his nutrition plan then. So, when you get somebody, and that's the other thing, is just finding a person that you look up to. We all need mentors. We all need people to follow, right? So whoever it is for you, like, and we have to have that in our life. We have to have somebody else to look up to. And I think when we don't, we get lost, because we go through phases. Everybody goes through phases in life. So it's a matter of what's most important, and then what are you willing to sacrifice? Because like when I was talking to him, he was supposed to go in October to Florida. Well, Naples and Marco Island got hit by the hurricane, and then we couldn't go. So he's like, I can't keep up with this. He's been doing it for 7 months, 8 months. He's like, I want to be able to like enjoy some regular food besides just chicken and potatoes and everything. So we all need that mental release at some point too, but just take care of yourself. So,
You
and
know, the
again,
old the old saying, when the oxygen mask comes down on the plane, who do you put
first,
on first?
yeah,
You have to put yourself. You have to put yours on. If you're not good, you can't take care of others.
yeah. And then the same thing with you, like, how do you take care of your team if you're not taking care of yourself too? So,
And
for
you
me,
want to model. You want to be the model and lighthouse for them. So,
mhm.
making sure that you feel good. Look good is good too, but
Right.
feel good and be healthy
Well,
are
feel good.
number one.
The energy makes a huge difference, because you need it all day. If you're gonna, like, this business will beat you up mentally. It's not a physical business, but it'll beat you up mentally, because there's always problems to put out. Like, you think of, like, you finally you negotiate, you get under contract. Then home inspection. Home inspections were great for 2 years because you didn't have hardly any of them. But now they're back and they're a pain in the ass again, and they start blowing up deals. And then you get an appraisal, you get termite. Termite is an issue. You get well and septic. Oh, there's an issue. Then they get through appraisal, next issue. Then finance, and they get through all the issues that, and then title. All of a
Oh,
sudden,
and then the buyer loses the job.
and then, yeah, especially lately, because have you had many of them? Because we've had several lately that they get all the way up to verification of employment, and then, oh well, they're a contract worker. We don't have a new renewal on their contract, or they just lost their job. Now they got to find a new job, because there's been a lot of that
Yeah.
going. The economy's been so wonderful the last couple of months, so we're seeing a lot of that now. We've had more turndowns in the last few minutes, like last week before settlement, than
Wow.
probably in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe five. It's not as bad as like the 2008, 9, 10, because it gets
No.
back to those good times. But there's definitely a huge, like, we're seeing that difference of the effects in the economy. You're seeing inflation, pricing out people and so forth. So,
Yeah, it's definitely a different environment than 7, 8, 9,
mhm.
10. But I think it's going to get a little worse before it gets a little better.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a challenging market, but you have to stay on top of things, trying to read that, like, most efficient stuff of, like, I don't watch the news, so I don't like pay attention to any of the bad stuff. But generally you're gonna find the stuff that's good, like, because you have other people that you respect in your market, lenders, title, home inspectors, other agents, and listen to, like, what just came across your desk. Okay, and have conversation. Our morning meetings, we have like 5 minutes of that. Like, hey, what did you have anything you learned last week? Because we need to talk about that. And then, hey, this is what we're doing moving forward. This is some of the content we've seen. watching, like Keeping Current Matters, watch that every month. Like, what other data is out there you're watching? Look at the resources that your lenders send you. Is there anything that's coming from title? Is there anything coming from corporate level? Because we all usually have some kind of corporate. So look at the data there. Inman has so much stuff, it's just get kind of floods you, so it's kind of hard to keep up with that one.
Yeah, I use the Wall Street Journal online. I also we use Altos reports.
Okay.
It's real live time, and it's pretty inexpensive. It costs about $79 a month.
Okay.
Altos Research.
Hmm.
Look it up, and you can connect Follow Up Boss to it.
Okay.
So all of the clients can be signed up on it, and you can have it delivered to them as many times as you want. It could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly.
Hmm.
But it's a cool thing. It's in real time. The link changes every day. I found a lot of pretty good information this year in Bright. I think they've stepped up their game, MLS.
Yep.
Utilizing a lot that home index. I look at that all the time. I look at it per house, per zip code. Whenever we're looking at the comparables, there's a lot in our market that are in the limited. Like, that's like really bad. That's like under 70.
Hmm.
The home index report, right? And right now we are in a slow, it's called slow.
Okay.
Marketplace.
Well, the other thing is looking at how many, like, what's the active inventory. So I look in my county, I was just double checking right now. We're at 285 active and coming soon for our whole county of properties on the market in the MLS. In January, we were down to 175. We peaked upwards. I think the highest I've seen this year was 350, where we're usually about 600. So 6 and sometimes 7. It spiked as high as like 1100 back in 10 and 11. But just having an idea of what your active inventory is, and that way you can speak to it. Like, all right, there's 285 homes. Or look in a zip code. If you're looking for a particular zip code, how many homes are on the market in there? And you're seeing new home sales slowing down a lot, because now the new home builders that weren't offering any commission, now all of a sudden they're starting to come out with like, oh, we'll pay a commission again. I'm like, yeah, of course you will, because you're slowed down like everybody else.
Exactly. Any good books you're reading right now?
I am going through for probably like the 4th time I've listened to this one. Millionaire Success Habits. That was really good.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's Dean Graziosi. He is.
Oh, yeah, I know Dean.
Yeah. So just again, success. I mean, it's success habits, but he's talking about millionaire success habits. Jack Canfield had another one with just success habits. That was really good. Kind of what you put out into the universe comes back to you, and what you put out is vibes, right? You put negative vibes out, that's what comes back. You put positive, amazing, what comes out. But it's also the habits that you create every day, but tweaking them. What are you changing? And that's what I'd say right now is the habits that got you to where you're at. So I had a meeting with my accountant, and he's also like kind of a life coach as well too. And we sat down for 3 hours 2 Fridays ago, and he's like, what got you to where you are is not going to get you to where you want to go, right? And we have to sometimes think about that as like, because I am a creature of habit, I'm very consistent, and my consistency got me into the 400 to 500 sale range. That's not going to get me to the 5,000 sale range in a year. So what do I have to change? And it's just really working on me more so than ever. How do I keep leveling up so I can pull the people below me up, and then find others that are so I can bring in more organization and bring more key people to help push me. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. So how am I finding these key people that want more out of life? And I think the more that we look that way, but remembering what got me here won't get me there.
That's true. That is so true. We got to constantly keep doing more.
Yeah. And
maybe doing less, maybe also saying no.
Yeah. That's the hard part, of saying no, because you focus on too many things. Like we use EOS. So when we're going through and looking at our IDSs, identify and discuss and solve, when we're going through them, sometimes we have way too many of like, shit, what do we really need to narrow it down? And it's just like kind of broad, like, all right, we know we need at least 30 more agents for our team. We know we need to have 500 listings this coming year. What else are like must have? And it's like, what are these things that are going to grow us to go forward? So, because otherwise, too many focuses don't get you there. And it's amazing. Like we had one of my agents that was on my team. He's no longer on my team. And every time I would talk to him, I was like, "Hey, what's going on? Just want to check in with you." "Oh yeah, well, I'm like doing this brew. I'm making this brew, and like, and the next thing I wanted to do is make some moonshine and this and into that." And I was like, "All right, but how's real estate going?" And that was like his fourth thing on the list. I'm like, "You're not doing good in real estate because you're focusing on these 15 other things, which you're not going to do great at because you're not narrowed it to one." So like narrow down your focus, and then also increasing, like changing your behaviors. What one behavior can you change to be better? Is it, hey, I need to get up earlier? I need to work out more. I need to make like what one focus? Because if you try to go focus, I was listening to a lot of Tom Ferry's podcast lately, and he's like, if you try to focus on two or three different behaviors, then it doesn't happen either. So if you focus on one of them, what's the one thing that's going to move the needle the most?
Well, for me, I'm going to continually focus more on my health.
Good. Mine is I finally have to, like, I've been very good. My habits have been better there. So mine's going to be more on outbound recruiting to other agents in my market and finding more people for my team. I've been doing it lately. I've been having really good meetings one-on-one. I'm like, wow, I actually really enjoy this. It's almost like a listing appointment. I'm getting the interaction that I like, because I need that people interaction.
Yes,
So I enjoy the
I'm
people
doing the
interaction.
same.
And when you have it with these agents, like, all right, how can I improve? And the focus is on them. It's not like, oh, what can I do? It is, how can I help you?
Exactly.
Because I've been in your shoes before. I've already like, I failed enough if you fail so many times, you got to move forward. So it's like you figure out, you fail and you just fail faster, right? When the more you fail fast, you get up. The compound effect talks about when you get knocked down, your time to get re-engaged basically is it 2 days, is it 2 minutes, is it 20 seconds? Like the faster you get your recovery time down, the better off you are. And you're going to get agents like, oh, I don't want to meet with you. I'm like, all right, no problem.
Exactly.
I'm only trying to help. And if I deposit enough knowledge to you and help you at some point, then hey, maybe you're going to look at me for a team when things aren't going the way you want it to go. But if I can help you, great. If I can't help you, so be it. But just changing mindset. And that's the hardest part right here, right? 6 inches of your
Yeah. It is the hardest part, but it's also the easiest part to fix because it's up to us.
Yeah.
And we get to decide about, choice management, right? I always say the work works. Do the work. It will come together as long as you don't quit.
Right.
If you never, ever, ever quit, someday it will happen.
Right.
If you do the work, though, you can't just like not take action. We're in an action-based economy.
Correct.
And it's up to us individually and our teams to do the work and dig deep and go deep with the client. And help as many families as we can.
For sure. I mean, it's always about that. It's like the experience. So ours is like creating the ultimate client experience. But when we do that, it's such a great experience for our agents and our admin staff that the byproduct is that it's a great experience for the client. Not that so the focus starts back with us, and the greater the experience all the way around, now it naturally becomes that it's a great experience for the client.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, we have to focus all just on the client, and then now we're like, oh my god, like the tension inside.
No. First family in the office is your work family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes we have to turn down business because, or sometimes, release a client because we're not in alignment, and they're not in alignment with our work family.
Right. Yeah. Toxicity.
Being treated poorly, being yelled at for no reason, and we just won't have it.
No, I agree 100%. So.
Not in this, it's opportunity cost, right? Because that drain, there's a drain on the team from that.
Yeah.
If the phone rings and you cringe.
Right. It's not a good client, right?
It's not a good client. We've all been there. We all have experienced
that.
As
long as it's not us, like, hey, because sometimes it's like, all right, I wasn't at my best. I'm going to give them my best. And then if it's still not there, then so be it. Right. Because we go through it. It's emotional.
Taking the accountability.
Yep. But then also knowing what core values are. Like everything has to go back to our core values for clients, us, team members, everything. But you have to know where your alignment is. And if you're not in alignment, then, and I like on my listing appointments, I make sure with them, I was like, I want you to know, here's our core values. And if they don't work for you, then hey, we don't need to work together. But just giving them an idea, like here they are. So, and it's just
Oh, it's a
part of.
nice looking book.
Thanks. And our other one's prettier, so our Florida one's, I
Oh,
think. So it's just but going into those things.
awesome. Lee, you have been a source of great information today. I love your positive spirit.
Thank you.
You're a great human and a great team leader. I wish you all the best. Thank you for coming on today, this day after Thanksgiving, to share with our friends here, not just in Philadelphia, but in real estate. Some great lessons that people really need to hear right now.
Well, thanks. If anybody needs any help, happy to talk. My office number is 410-638-9555. And then my email is just lee@leetessier.com.
I love it. Thanks again, Lee,
All
and
right.
have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. You take care.